Hello, and a very warm welcome to Katie's Arms, a regular appearance now that we have, or a regular pub night. Have to check that people can hear me. Do say hi if you're able to hear me. I'm always frightened that you won't be able to hear my voice, and clearly that would be a disaster for mankind. Katie's Arms, yes, this is a regular online pub night, and I make no apologies for anything that goes on here. Any regulars here know that I speak exactly as I find. I say exactly what I think, and I really don't give a shit who doesn't like it. Regularly we get people joining who are the sort of dickheads that just like to insult women or insult me or remind me that I have a horse face, whatever. And occasionally I'll just abuse them back. But this is fair warning to you that you can just piss off now, or as we like to say here in the Katie's Arms, offity piss, and then I won't have to humiliate you for having an exceptionally small penis, now will I? So do throw your questions on the... You can see my wang. You can't see my wang. Hold on, now you've made me worry. Okay, now I know that I've got locals in the pub now that they think we've got this kind of relationship where they can say things about my wang and it won't offend me. And actually that's true, because you can't offend me, and the word wang I love. That all came about because somebody said I flashed my wang in my Daisy Dukes, but in fact it turns out wang is a penis. It's not actually a vagina. And it was my husband that told me wang. Yeah, so we had to clear up the whole wang thing. So many things we want to talk about. Hey goddess, that is me. That is moi, the goddess. I'm really not. You should see me when I first wake up in the morning. Honestly, I look in the mirror and think, Jesus Christ. I pity people. Sometimes, I see people when I've just woken up and I think, God, they may never be the same again. So today I've been dealing with this. This is kind of funny. This is my Australian fine. So we know here at the Katie's Arms, or you should do, and if you don't do, then you're not following me closely enough, and that's just not okay. Yes, it goes backwards, doesn't it, for you guys? But yes, this says Dick. I have Dick written on my right boob, which as we can see is quite large. I can't understand how I haven't been offered some sort of contract for shapewear yet with my double Ds. But anyway, Dictator. This is the potato in a wig. And I can't remember which little darling sent me this t-shirt. I will find out. I will put your link on here. Don't be cross with me. I'm not trying to be a dickhead. But I'm terribly forgetful these days. So, yes, my Australian, you will know that the Katie's Arms got me deported from Australia. So I did this at 5 a.m. in Sydney because I didn't want to let anyone down, because I'm just like that. Katie, I've just returned from Greece. I'm a prisoner in my house. I've already had a call from Test and Trace to check that I'm in my home. A call at the door, as in, no the way. I would just open, well, you know what I would do? If someone's knocking at your door to check, you have got to just engage them in conversation. You're going to work them. Don't let them leave your property. Tell them that you need them. Tell them that you've never been so lonely. Tell them that you're frightened if they leave you, you'll do something terrible to yourself. Record them with you pleading to them, please don't leave my house, because if you leave, I think I'm going to do something dreadful. Maybe we could call for help together. Maybe we could check into NHS together. Don't let them leave your house. And if they're calling you on the phone to check you're there, do it as well. Ask them, say, can I tell you just a story? Because it's really, really important for me that I share this with you. And set your timer on your phone and let's have a challenge here on Katie's Arms. If you're being tracked and traced, see how long you can keep a track and trace pervert on the phone or on your door. I will personally reward you in some way. We'll come up with a prize. I've already realised what the prize is. It's going to be cheap shit wine. Look, I'm that cheap you can even see my lip gloss stains, and there's many of them around this glass. I know. My husband said to me earlier, do you need some anaesthetic? That's what this was, so I was having a bit of a day. I was actually trying to, because I'm such a good soul, even though I'm a Nazi and an Islamophobe and a right-winger and what am I, far right-wing, and I'm a, what does Daily Mail say? Conspiracy theorist, far right-wing, even though I was their columnist, paid for 2 years. But now I'm obviously a right-wing conspiracy theorist. Whatever. Where were we? Yes, labels and me. But anyway, I've been on the phone mostly today trying to help people who, we are going to talk about this as well. This is important. This is Australia and my fine for my alleged crime that also saw me deported, which I blame all of you assholes for, because it was Katie's Arms that saw me kicked out of the country. Why are people downloading the app? Yes, look, read your messages, woman. Look, I did. Because I read your bloody message, you cheeky mutt, and therefore I'm trying. Look at me, drinking, holding pens, talking, holding up bits of formal documentation, holding a running commentary on life, and reading things, and I'm not pissing myself, you know, double incontinence, not yet knocking at my door, definitely going to happen. Tragedy, warning to everybody out there. You can't see the D on my shirt. Oh. Probably because my massive underboobs are they, you know when girls wear underboobs? I've always wondered about that. I've tried to do an underboob on my own in my bathroom. I think most women have. I'm sure most women have. Let me check. Katie for president. Yes, she's definitely done underboobs. Everybody's tried to do an underboob in their bathroom. I know this for a fact. These are unrelated. So underboobs, everyone's tried them, and obviously for most of us they don't work out, but there's some ladies that underboob really does work for. I totally get it. I think underboob is quite good. The thing about boobs I don't like is the extra boob. So some women have that extra bit of boob here. So there's the bra bit of boob, and then there's the boob that happens outside of the bra but before the armpit. That really freaks me out, and I always want to go up to those bits and go, and I don't know why that is. But I get those urges. So I had this once in Mallorca with my children. There was a bald gentleman sat behind us on the table. Well, he wasn't sat on the table. He was sat on the table behind us, and I had some ham on my plate. And I got this overwhelming urge to pick up the ham. Have I told you this before? And slap it on his bald head. So I picked up the ham, and then my daughter said, "What are you doing?" And I realised I was about to apply it to the gentleman's head, and this was before the era of slapping ham on people's heads. The other bit of boob that I don't like, which I still think is boob, is that bit round here that women get. So there's a bit that comes over there and it just like hangs over, and I think that's probably back fat, but actually it appears to be like a bit of boob that just went like for a walk and got missing and just was like, oh, it will hang out here. So those bits as well, they freak me out. Not in an anti way or a negative way, and not in a like attacking chubbers way, but just those bits of thing. I look at them when I'm in if I'm in a line queue behind someone, I look at those bits and I think, and I want to go up to them and go, but obviously that's not okay. I also have, I don't have it here, a glasses case for my glasses that snaps, but if I had it here, I'm tempted to run and get it, but then I'll be leaving you alone. This is why it'd be more fun if we just did this round at mine, wouldn't it? I've got a glasses case that when you shut, it goes shit, and it snaps shut really loud. And in an airport, it sounds like gunshots. So when I'm in some of the more dodgy airports behind lots of men, usually wearing long garments, I snap that glasses case shut. And then the last time I did it, the two guys in front of me fell to the floor, and then I was able to just step over them because it was just a glasses case. Should we go back to topic, darlings? Let's go back to, should we go back to this, or should we go back to Mexico, or should we go back to jabbing our freaking children? Let's go to Mexico. So I've spent quite a lot of my day trying to help people who are stuck in Mexico or trying to get back or want to just literally friggin' kill someone because they've just been shat on from 40,000 feet. So bloody Boris Johnson and the dickheads that are supposed to be running this country but aren't, and are basically just pissing on ordinary people like me and you, just decided to stick Mexico on the red list. No reason, no rationale. The only rationale being that most of their mates don't go to Mexico because they don't have any balls and they're worried that it will be a security risk. And the people that do tend to go there, you can get quite a lot for your money. And so people have, saved up for ages and then made a break for it to have a nice holiday in the sunshine, although it's a bit pissy wet there at the minute. And then overnight, they're flying into Mexico. They're on a plane. They land and they find out the freaking country has been put on red, which we know doesn't exist, right? Because there's no such thing as a traffic light system for countries. There may be traffic lights on the road. Most of us try and ignore them, or at least get through the orange light before it goes red. But the point rather being, there aren't traffic lights for countries. And what if you're a mum with 2 small kids, you land in Mexico and find out when you get back, you're going to have to quarantine. You can't afford to pay for the quarantine to get home. So I've been trying to help people get onto bastard flights home. They're going to miss their holiday. They're not getting their money back, but they can't afford quarantine. I mean, it's disgusting. It makes me ill that the government thinks that's okay. And we know that the reason is to just deliver this. I don't know why I'm holding these pens now, like as if I'm immediately going to need to write something with a Sharpie, or someone's going to burst through the door asking me to sign their boobs. Although I did do that in Trafalgar Square the other day. But I just think doing that to ordinary people like me is just sick. And for ladies, if you know what it's like with a 10 or 11 hour flight with your kids, like when you get there, you just want to get into the room, take all your clothes off, get in the shower and just think, my holiday starts, right? Okay, talk amongst yourselves. Talk. Instead, these poor people are stressing. A lot of them haven't got decent Wi-Fi to search for flights, and the flights are frigging 4 times the price. Personally, my advice is, sod it. Kind of maybe just like imagine some scissors, she says, imagine some scissors, desperately looking for scissors to demonstrate the point. Imagine some scissors. Okay, this is a lovely letter from a Frenchman, but I'm going to rip it up, but I'll print it again. If you're lovely, Anton, I'm so sorry. So imagine some scissors. So you've just landed in Mexico. You found out it's gone to the red list. You're going to have to pay £4,000 to quarantine, and you don't want to quarantine. Imagine yourself just with scissors, just cutting up all of the things that are supposed to be rules, all the things you're supposed to think you're supposed to do, everything you're being told, all the bullshit you're being told. You have to have this form, you have to do this. Bollocks to it. Bollocks to it. Just stay on your holiday. Go onto Airbnb. Look up long-term Airbnbs in Mexico, my darlings. They're cheap as chippity chip chips. And I appreciate you can't afford to stay and you need your job and all that, but what's going to happen if you don't? What's the worst? And I'm a really good example of what's the worst that can happen, right? Because I've done all the worst things. Yes, you could be fired from your job. I've been fired, I think, nearly from every job I've ever had. I was never fired from McDonald's, maybe because they were so desperate. I was the drive-through girl. I wasn't fired from Disneyland, Paris. I was security. I had to get paedophiles out of the Peter Pan maid. We used to have men turning up at Disney, because if you're a paedophile, obviously you go to Disney. I mean, allegedly. So Disney doesn't sue me immediately. What are you going to get? What are you going to sue me for? This T-shirt, okay. In an arrangement, Katie apologised to Disneyland for conceding there's quite a lot of paedophiles there, and she gave them her dictator T-shirt. That was the settlement. Have the shirt off my back. Go on, do it. See if I care. I'll just walk round naked. I wasn't fired from there. But I've been fired from most jobs I've had. And I've even told people when they've employed me, you're going to fire me one day. And of course it's true, because I will always get to a point where I rip up the rules. And it's okay. I've been deported. And it's okay. It's all right. You can still drink wine on the flight. You have to persuade them a bit. Oh, tell you what airline was I on? Singapore Airlines. Ooh, it's like flying, it's like being in UAE, darlings. It's just trying to get a drink. It's not like being on BA. I tell you, BA, you can have at least 18 glasses of wine before you even take off. You try getting a drink out of Singapore Airlines stewardesses. I tell you, it's the reason they can fit in those incy-bincy, teeny-weeny, pencil bloody uniforms. How you do 12-hour shift, walking like that in those things. They're just literally, they're literally addressed like a pencil. Like they come down the aisle like this. And you go, do you think I could get a glove? This is after I've been deported, escorted by 23 armed men. Most of them actually quite good looking and quite fun. Some of them so pissed off with lockdown, they thought I was something of a champion, which was cute, but don't tell the papers. Anyway, these air stewardess, you try and get a glass of wine out of a Singapore Airlines air steward. I tell you, it's like trying to get blood out of a stone, darlings. Blood. I was like, I've been deported. Do you understand? I need a Merlot. Nothing. Just a nut. One lousy peanut. Right. Shall we try and go back to the points? Let's have a look what people are saying. Ooh, just Googling. This is so great. just Googling Singapore Airlines uniform. That's the way, you see. That's what we need. The little bit of this is what we would do if we were out. We would Google it and go, shit me, those uniforms are made for stick insects. Shit me, how do they sit down? How do they even wee? Because those sorts of uniforms, because they're okay when you're stood, it's like dresses that girls have. Like we sometimes have dresses that you wear, but you know that you can't sit down in them. Boys don't really know this shit. Boys can't sit, boys don't need to sit down in them. Girls can't really sit down in them. And we can't actually, like when you wee, sometimes you have to undo them from the waist to wee because you can't actually get them up. But we just wear them anyway because we think they look good. But those Singapore Airlines stewardesses wear those the whole time. I wanted to share with you this. Let me see, any questions? Where am I going next? Oh, yes. So the idea is, and I do have the tweets from a number of well-known left-wing journalists who are like, I'm so sorry. Yes, you lost me. I apologise. I don't know how to assist with this other than going maybe shouting at my family to get off the Wi-Fi. Do I do that? Am I back? Buffering. So terrible. I'm so sorry. Let me just try and see if anybody... Shall I shout at my... Wait. Right, I tried. How did we do? Did we come back? I'm back. Am I back? I don't know. I just went running around my house trying to find small children or homeless people and asking them to get off my Wi-Fi. But I don't know. Let's see how we go. Yes, so I wanted to show you this. This is my fine. So when the shit started hitting the fan, which was very soon after we sat and chatted at the Katie's Arms in Australia, and it was getting louder and louder, and it was building and building, and then it was the Premier of New South Wales, then the Premier of Melbourne and Victoria joined in, and then it went to the Deputy Prime Minister, who got involved about me being a terrible person and why should I be in the country making a joke. So this thing was just, and I'm in quarantine, and Australia's gone crazy, and we've got every politician ever having their say. No one in Australia has got anything else to talk about other than me being naked, or which I wasn't, and it just went crazy. Anyway, so they started this kind of campaign of harassment, and all of a sudden, having done nothing at all to break any rules whatsoever, I had calls in the middle of the night telling me that I had an incident of repeatedly opening my door. And I was like, I didn't repeatedly open my door. Because that would be a freaking weird thing. What are you doing? Gonna do this? In a hotel? I'm desperate sometimes. I've done some desperate things. Darlings, we know some of the desperate things I've done. You've seen the pictures. But they literally rang me, told me it was the Chief Inspector of Police, and that I had been found repeatedly opening my door. Someone here says, I'm sure there was really being like this. I'm so sorry for my Wi-Fi. Freaking BT, honestly. And you can be sure that there was a valid reason for me being deported until I show you this, which genuinely shows there wasn't. So then after I said, I didn't repeatedly open my door, I wouldn't. I know the rules, I wouldn't break them. And the guy said, well, I'm not going to give you a fine. I'm just here to tell you, you can't repeatedly, this is my Australian, you can't repeatedly open your door. And I was like, I didn't. It's 11 o'clock at night. So that's when it started. And then I knew they were looking for something, looking for some way of getting rid of me and getting the problem to go away. I'm so sorry. I'm going to ring BT tomorrow and definitely, basically laugh with some BT engineer about how shit life is. This is the penalty notice from New South Wales Police. So they went away, they tried to find some more stuff. And then they began calling my room every hour, 11 p.m, 12 p.m, 2 a.m, just to keep me awake, to keep me awake. And then they issued a penalty notice. 2 men came to my door in full, this is not a word of a lie, full PCR, blue, hospital, plastic, visor, masks. And they had cameras here, and it was like real late at night or early in the morning. And I honestly rang my husband afterwards. I was like, this is getting a little scary now because this is quite weird. And they alleged that I opened my hotel door, as in my quarantine room door, and that I put my trash bag, so we were asked and briefed that we should take our trash, lean out the door and put it into the hallway like you do if you're in a hotel and they haven't got cleaning staff because of COVID, although it's not really because of COVID, it's actually because they're looking after their bottom line. But, you know, let's not pick hairs. They alleged the reason I was deported from Australia was the allegation, unproven, that I leaned into an empty hotel corridor. I leaned without wearing a face mask. 8:45 on a Friday evening, I leaned into a corridor, all of that, allegedly without wearing a face mask. Now that is the truth of this story, and I'm very happy to take screenshots of this and pop it up. Interestingly, they didn't even have the paperwork to write this on. I did not take this, by the way, from driving penalty notice. This is for people who are caught speeding. Do you think I was speeding Do you think I was speeding? You believe it. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry about my Wi-Fi. I don't even know what to say other than I'm so sorry. I will try and fix it, but what am I going to say? Maybe one of my neighbours is watching porn. Let's hope. It's a driving penalty, and this is why I was deported from Australia, for committing a driving penalty in my hotel quarantine, alleging that I may have leaned into an empty hotel corridor and put out my trash, which I genuinely did definitely put out my trash because I'm a kind of respectful person. And that's the reason I was removed from Australia. And so if you see any headlines saying was naked or broke quarantine or any of that, it's all bullshit. It's all here on this piece of paper. And they fined me $1,000 for it. And then they came and picked me up in a police wagon, supervised by men in black suits, and threw me on a plane for this. And you couldn't make it up, and I sound like I'm lying to you, but I'm not. And I will willingly give this to anybody that wants it to prove what I'm saying. At no time has anyone proven to me. Meanwhile, then this escalated. It went to Border Force and Immigration, and then the harassment campaign really intensified. Then it was every hour, every phone call. They wanted to interview me at 1 a.m, which they did. They told me to wait up for a response to the interview at 2:30 in the morning. They were back at 3 a.m, and I had 10 minutes. I was given 10 minutes warning by the police to tell me I was being picked up and taken out of that room. 10 minutes to be ready to get on a plane home. I also had threats against my food while I was there. I'm not complaining, by the way, not in any way. Not in any way. I accept all of this without complaint. I'll do it again, and I'll do it again, and I'll do it again, and bring it again, and write me some more of these, and threaten me again, and keep me awake all night, and come and scare me with more men in a corridor, and come and tell me you're going to take me, as they did, to a guy sometimes. It does make you wonder, doesn't it, if mine is being deliberately interfered with, as we haven't had this before. But yes, so I was threatened with being taken, I had my visa cancelled and being told at that point I'd be taken to an immigration detention centre without my belongings. But I say bring it and do it. So please know that I'm not complaining. Please know that I'm sharing this with you in an honest way, because I do want to tell someone, and I've told no one until now. I've held my silence and I've held my pride. But when they were then threatening my food, so it was no longer possible for me to eat the food that was being delivered to my door because people were saying that they were going to poison it. And those messages came direct to me at the hotel quarantine that my food would be poisoned and that people were shitting in it or whatever, which is fine, because if actually shitting in someone's food makes you feel better, I'm not sure that it makes me feel any worse. But at that point, people who were supposedly there to look after me were delivering food to me that was sealed in, and I think that probably was all coordinated at a much more senior level. So I just wanted to articulate to you, a politician decide, isn't it remarkable that this connection is so unstable? Isn't it remarkable that when people in power decide that someone needs to be disposed of, just how quickly the many, many forces of evil can coalesce to create and invent things around you to dispose of you. And whether that's trying to break you, that they think they're going to end up as a sobbing wreck on the floor, which I think many people might have, or whether you're still going to kind of walk proudly to the airport and step on that plane knowing you did nothing wrong, which is the route I chose. So I wanted to share that with you all. And I truly apologise for this Wi-Fi. I'm not entirely sure that it's by chance that you're not allowed to hear what I've got to say. But I apologise for none of it. I will put copies of this, I think, up so that people can verify what I'm saying is true. Is it okay to write a speeding fine for someone and then deport them on the back of it? Is that conventional? And you are allowed to appeal being deported. I asked the lawyer whether I could appeal, whether he thought it'd be possible. I said, is it even a point to it when there's no rationale for deporting me? And he said, probably not, Katie. You know, unlikely they're going to overturn something that doesn't have the rationale to be used in the first place because everyone needs to save face. So I'd love to hear from New South Wales Police if you want to pursue this. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to see the proof that this allegation is true. And I'd love to see that you can be deported for allegedly not wearing a face mask in a empty hotel corridor. And I'd love to know that you're allowed to write that fine out and charge someone $1,000 on something that's meant for people who drive. And I have gone online today and requested the photo of this, which is probably going to come from one of your speeding cameras, because obviously there was a speeding camera in my quarantine room. Anyway, I wanted to share that truth with you. Couple minutes to go. Let's have a quick drink of... Do keep drinking, darlings, do. So one of these days, we're going to do just Q&A, and we're going to have it so that you guys can put Q's in questions in advance on the chat on Instagram, and I will just do question and answers because I know I'm really remiss at that, but there's always so much to say. I also wanted to say that for 16 and 17-year-olds, I so admire all of you who write to me. I love that most of the people that write to me are actually young people who are choosing to do what they want, and some people might be choosing to have the state injectable. And that's totally, of course, your choice. And what concerns me is the fact that psych ops intelligence knows that younger people are more prone to operating in a group for security and comfort, and also wants the instant gratification of being allowed to do things. And being told today that now they're coming for 12-year-olds and then they're coming for 5-year-olds, we know that it's a well-worn tactic to push it. I think you'll be able to get back to you. So let's talk about 5-year-olds, because we're going to end up with 12-year-olds. And let's remember that right now in France, as we sit here, it is now, you need a vaccine passport to be able to access hospital transit. But I will update you by as many people as I can. So that's a live on YouTube on Wednesday at 8 o'clock, really just trying to share people's letters to me so that you know that your voices are being heard and people hear. What can I say? The darkness descends, please know. And I will, God willing, I will see you next week. Or if this is the end of my journey, know that I walked into it with a smile on my face and a glass of barefoot Merlot in my hand. A very good evening to you all.